retire. No,
There you
yeah, I didn't save a dime while I worked. No, yeah. The deal was with the wife when we were mortgage free. We've been there for a couple years. She retired last year. I'm going to do it this year because they say it's not good for both of you to do it at the same time. Yeah.
So, Mayor, I just mentioned that Councillor Rose will not be joining us.
Okay.
Yeah. So who we waiting for? So right now,
Don't think so anybody.
well,
Nana will join us late. So
I don't see, is Councillor D'Angelo on?
yes, he's there.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's on.
Okay.
You have quorum, and it is 6 o'clock, so we can start whenever you're ready, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. I just want to check one thing here. Okay. Are we ready? Are we recording?
We're recording, and we're now live streaming.
Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. and I'll ask the clerk to read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattaway-Wendurunk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands in which we live.
Thank you, Matthew. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda? Can I get a mover and a seconder? I can't see anyone's.
I'll move it. Councillor
Okay,
D'Angelo, I'll move it.
Councillor D'Angelo, and I got Councillor Hanley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed? That's carried. A notice of intent to grant additional funding to the Thorold Museum Board. As this is with regards to a motion from Councillor O'Hare, please note, notice of motion was not provided in accordance with section 11.1 of the procedural bylaw. Therefore, in order to waive the notice requirements and consider this motion immediately, we must require a motion to do so in accordance with 11.2 of the procedural bylaw. Can I get the notice of motion requirements be waived in accordance with section 11.2 of the procedural bylaw? Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? I got Councillor D'Angelo and Councillor Didavitis. All those in favor?
Favor. Aye.
Favor.
Anyone opposed? That is carried. So now I'll call on Councillor O'Hare for the motion, and then after he puts the motion on the floor, I'll ask for a seconder. Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Through you to council. The motion is that council approve the funds in the amount of $40,000 to enable the museum board to hire a manager supervisor to direct 5 summer student employees, run the museum and cultural center office, and begin setting up a fundraising campaign. This new position will run until the end of 2024, and the funds will come as a general budget overrun.
Can I get a seconder for that motion? Councillor D'Angelo. Any discussion on the motion?
Yes, I'd like to.
Go ahead, Councillor Hanley.
Okay, well, right now, the way I look at it, and that stuff, I'm going to support the one-time cost of $40,000 to get things moving along. But I think we need to ask that a thorough plan be provided in advance of the 2025 budget. Because, I need to understand, they're going to raise $2 million, the fundraising plan. We need to know as a council before 2025, the potential capital requirement from the city, the operational plan of the center after completion, and also any potential operational costs that the city may need to make to fund this center. So, and another comment might be that, we have a special events coordinator. Could we not somehow use a special events coordinator to help run the cultural center portion of the building? So I just
Okay.
want to make those comments. And one other thing is that, I know I'm supporting it, but I'm going to tell you, I wasn't very appreciative of the letter that I received from the proponent and the president of the museum in regards to the criticism we faced. And I don't know if everybody's seen that letter, but, it criticized the staff council, it criticized some members of council. And I know that if I was to send a rebuttal letter to the individual in the same tone, I'd be up in front of the integrity commissioner. So I just want to note that there was a lot of rhetoric there, and I know that Jeff Holman mentioned it too. And I wanted the museum to go forward. I'm the counselor that actually got the Corps and Mel Woodhouse together. I coordinated all that because they were looking for somebody. So I've been 100% supportive of it, and I just don't like the tone of the voice or the letter that we received from the president. But I'm in full support of it. I just wanted to let that be known publicly.
Thank you, Councillor Hanley. And Councillor Hanley, I can tell you that we have appointed two councillors, Councillor O'Hara and Councillor D'Angela, to work with the museum staff. And I believe that all of that to culminate, so make sure that we have everything prepared for 2025 budget. And your points are well taken. Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak?
Oh,
Go ahead,
Mr.
Councillor
Mayor.
D'Angelo. Yeah.
Yeah, just I have a couple comments that I want to make. One is in terms of funding this as a budget overrun. I'd like to know through you, Mr. Mayor, to our CAO, have we met all the targets of all the staff that we hired this year, or has any of it been delayed where we can transfer some of the funds to this position?
Go ahead, Manoj.
So we are in a process of hiring. Some of the positions are supposed to be hired as of 1st of April, which we have hired. Some are supposed to be hired later this year. So we are on track for hiring. I don't think so we have any surplus that we could utilize from a staffing perspective towards this. But having spoken with the Director of Finance, it will be a general budget overrun and will come out from our reserves.
Okay, well, so then that means all the other staff positions are going to be targeted and started at the dates that council agreed upon at the budget meeting. So there'll be no surplus funds at all there. So that's what you're saying.
There might be in some cases, and if that's there, then of course, at the end of the day, whatever savings are there, it comes back on our reserves anyway.
Okay, well, they could also come to pay for this too, so that it's not a huge budget overrun. That's concern one. I thought if there's additional financing there. The secondary component of this that I'm a little concerned with, the amount is a little low in my estimation, only because what's going to happen is, and as the motion mentioned, it's only good to the end of December. So what happens in January and February? Do they lay this person off and then have nothing going on? Or are we I was gonna make a friendly amendment where we loop a little bit of extra funds into it so that the continuation of this process continues, because you don't want everything coming at a dead stop December 31st, because that's when the funds end. And also for the hiring process, now you're only going to be hiring for a shorter time span. So the individual you're getting isn't getting a longer contract to do this. That's a bit of a concern of mine, because if we don't get into the budget or past budget by March, that could end up losing like 3 months of potential continuation of the project. And it's going to start getting more critical, especially if there's fundraising, and especially if there's design plans that are going to be moving forward, or working with getting all the artifacts categorized and making sure there's a list of what's going to be available once the building's completed. So I'm a little concerned about that, of what happens December 31st. So through you, Mr. Mayor, maybe if I could ask our CAO, how would that impact? Would that means the funding only goes to December 31st? Then we'd have to look at this during our March, usually deliberations for the budget.
Well, the budget last 2 years has been done by the end of January, Councillor D'Angelo. So I'm not saying that's going to be the case next year, but I understand your concern of that window until the budget's passed. So Manoj, can you answer that?
Yeah, so what we have been trying from staff perspective to make sure that we provide the budget binders to council before we break for holidays in December. And then we try to finalize the budget by end of January, mid-February. That's the intent. But you are absolutely right, Councillor D'Angelo. If the funding calculation is until end of December, then what will happen for a month and a half? So if that is the case, then I think additional funding has to be approved so that there is no gaps in the in hiring of this individual. That's one of the solutions that council can consider. But I don't know how this 40,000 has been calculated, whether it has been calculated at the end of the year or for the till the time that the budget is approved. But staff is going to work with the museum board to make sure that whatever their operating budget is going to be for the next year, we are going to present it to council as well for their approval.
Okay, so Councillor D'Angelo, do you want to make an amendment?
Yeah, just doing a rough calculation, we're looking at 8 months into the 40,000, which is roughly $5,000 a month. I would like to add another. I would like to add another 10,000 onto that, so it's 50,000. It'll bring us to the budget time, and I agree with Councillor Hanley that we need some more operational objectives and what's happening at that point in time, so that when we're going through the budget deliberations, we'll have a greater understanding of what the needs are moving forward into the future. But I don't want to cut that staff person short, so it gives us 2 months into the new year.
So we have an amendment from Councillor D'Angelo to add 10,000 to that amount to make it a total upset amount of 50,000. Can I get a seconder for that? Councillor Decker. Okay, and now the discussion will be on the amendment. So Councillor Decker, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'll support it until budget time. And I just wanted to echo Councillor Hanley's sentiments about that criticism that we received from that person. And I hope that it does get addressed, because I know that council and staff are working diligently to support what the museum is doing. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I got Councillor Dedivides and then Councillor Sentence. Go ahead, Councillor Dedivides.
Oh, through you, Mr. Mayor, I would support this also. Now that they get the ball rolling, I hate for it to stop, and I think we have to put that little cushion in there so they've been working hard on this project, and they still want to see it stopped and restarted. So I support what Councillor D'Angelo requested. Okay,
and I got Councillor Sentence. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll support this as well. I just have one question for Councillor D'Angelo, maybe. You believe this brings us to budget, right? Because I was a little taken by the email that came as well. I am behind this. I'm speaking for myself, and it looks like everybody else is too. We are behind this, so it should be working together on this. I just want to know that this is going to bring us to budget, and then we can get more information, like Councillor Hanley said.
So if you look at the timelines, what Manoj said and what our last two budgets were, based on the expenditure, worst case scenario that were done by mid-February, it should cover those expenses, Councillor.
All I need to know. Thank you.
Okay.
If I could address that question too, the concern was we deferred it to community grants, which comes out later than budget time. So this is something I think we need to address during budget. There'll be their budget, the museum board will present their budget, they'll present their information, and it's something that we have to, I feel, deal outside the community grants envelope, because if not, that could be delayed. That's where I was coming up with March and April, is when the community grants get released, it's not right after budget. There's still applications that come forward and they research that. So I think this is something we have to look outside the envelope of the community grants.
And I agree. And I think that their intent is to set the museum board and cultural center up more like the library board. So it would be outside of the grant system, Councillor D'Angelo.
Yeah, which is good.
Okay. Is there anyone else?
Councillor Hanley wants to.
This Councillor Hanley, did you have your, I can't see it on the screen. Councillor Hanley, do you have anything to add?
You're muted.
Councillor Hanley, did you have anything before we call a vote?
Councillor Hanley.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, like, how do we come to the, or Henry, to the wage of $1,250 per week for an individual to help coordinate students? It's just that, you know, to me, Is that a gross amount? So how did we get that this manager's fee is going to be in there? Did we take another employee's wage from the city? Are we comparing it to something? Because if it's gross, it's $100,000 a year once we pay the benefits and that stuff.
Yeah, I don't sit on the library board at this time. I know I put my name forward, so I don't know exactly how they determine their budget, but that was presented to council
No,
as part of their package. So I think they just took the number from there, and it looked like it was about a $5,000 a month for that. And it's just not an individual to supervise.
that's the
the
other
student.
thing, Steve. Okay, so yeah, not to interrupt, but see, that's the thing. Like I approved, I'm for the 40, but you know, then we're at 50. We have nothing in front of us. Who came up with the $1,250 wage a week? Nobody can answer that question. So it's not that I'm not supportive of it, but we're going into this with our heads buried in the sand. I hate to say, we really got no information whatsoever. I got no problem spending the money, but we have no answers to no questions from anybody that's involved. It would have been nice if Mel was here or somebody was here to say, this is how we came up to it. So I'm going to support it, but we need that. There's a lot of answers out there or questions out there that need to be answered before we go further in the future with this.
And I
Yeah.
think I think council has the same feelings, Councillor Hanley, that there has to be a definitive laid out plan and something that our staff will work with the museum board and the two councillors so that when we go to budget, it will be a detailed presentation for next year.
Okay,
That's
thanks,
the way I
Henry.
see it.
Too. I didn't know
Yeah.
where you got the number from, so I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, it came from their budget, but also I want to mention that I believe the president, Mel Woodhouse, is going to be coming at the next council meeting to give us an update. So that's a good opportunity to ask a few questions and then lay the framework for what we require moving into the future.
Okay.
That's good. Anyone else? Okay. I'll ask the clerk to put that motion up again so everybody sees what we're voting on. That funding in the amount of 50,000 be provided to the Thorold Museum to assist with staffing and administrative costs until the end of budget 2024. Until the end of 2024, and that it be funded as a general budget overrun. I think we have to adjust that to say until the 2025 budget is approved. Is that would that be?
Agreed. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. Because we don't
Okay.
need them coming back in a couple months for more.
No.
Yeah.
Still, the 2025 budget is approved. Okay. I had a mover, Councillor O'Hare. Councillor D'Angelo, were you seconding that?
Yes, I was, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor?
Favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, that is carried. Okay. Bylaws. Can I get a mover and a seconder for Bill 39, 2024 to confirm the actions of council? Can I get a mover and a seconder? I got Councillor Dedavitis and Councillor Sentence. A bylaw to adapt, ratify, and confirm the actions of City Council at this meeting held on May 23rd, 2024. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Before I adjourn the meeting, which will be at 6:20, I want to thank everybody for coming together to get this meeting done because it was time sensitive, and I appreciate everybody taking the time out of their busy schedules to make sure we could get this done. So thank you, everybody. There being no further business, this meeting is hereby adjourned at 6:20 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Good
You're
night,
welcome.
everyone.
Have a good night,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.